Millions of Americans work hard every single month, yet end the month with nothing to show for it. Paychecks come in, bills go out, and the account balance resets to zero. For many, the cycle repeats year after year, no matter how much their income grows. Some earn $40,000 a year. Others earn well over six figures. But the outcome is often the same. The truth is simple, but hard to accept. Financial success has little to do with intelligence. It's not about luck. And it's not even about landing the dream job. It's about behavior. It's about discipline. And most importantly, it's about time. Over the last century, the United States has produced countless examples of ordinary people who turned modest paychecks into real wealth. They didn't do it with shortcuts or secret investments. They did it by respecting the three natural phases of wealth building. And here's the good news. These phases are available to anyone. It doesn't matter if you're a gas station worker in rural Vermont or a Wall Street executive in Manhattan. If you follow the process, the outcome is predictable. But there's a catch. These phases don't run on a fixed schedule. They don't last the same number of years for everyone. Some people stay stuck in the first stage for decades. Others move through all three in less than 20 years. The difference is not the size of the paycheck, but the discipline to make consistent choices when it matters most. In this video, we'll break down the three phases of wealth building. First, the construction stage, where you fight to create the foundation. Second, the acceleration stage, where compounding finally begins to outweigh your own effort. And finally, the stage of financial freedom, where money turns from numbers on a screen into the ability to choose how you live your life. If you stay with me until the end, you'll see why years matter far more than dollar amounts. And you'll understand why every decision you make today is quietly shaping the freedom you'll experience tomorrow. The first phase of wealth is the construction stage. And this is where most people fail, because they confuse income with wealth. A high paycheck feels like success, but if nothing is left at the end of the month, there is no wealth being built. Let's take two young Americans as examples. Both are 22 years old. Both earn $5,000 a month. On paper, they look the same. John spends everything he makes. He drives a brand new financed car. He rents an expensive apartment in the city. Every month, his paycheck disappears, and his net worth is negative because of debt. Sarah makes the same income, but her choices are different. She shares a modest apartment close to work. She walks instead of driving. She avoids debt and invests $500 from every paycheck. Now let 10 years go by. John is still trapped in the paycheck cycle. He has no assets, no cushion, no freedom. But Sarah has built a foundation. Her investments have grown into a meaningful portfolio. They even generate passive income, small but real, that covers part of her living costs. She is not rich yet, but she is free from financial fragility. This simple comparison shows the truth most people ignore. Wealth is not about how much you make. It's about how much you keep and what you consistently invest in the future. The construction stage is slow, demanding, and sometimes discouraging, but without it, no one reaches the next phases. Income may give comfort today, but only savings and discipline create wealth for tomorrow. The story of Ronald James Reed proves that modest income can still create extraordinary wealth. He was a gas station attendant and janitor in Vermont. He lived a quiet, simple life, fixing cars and sweeping floors for decades. His salary was low, his lifestyle was modest, and no one around him imagined he was building anything significant. But Ronald had one secret. He saved consistently. He invested small amounts into solid American companies, the kind of blue-chip stocks that reward patience. And then he let time do the heavy lifting. When Ronald died in 2014 at the age of 92, the world was shocked. This humble janitor left behind a fortune worth $8 million. He donated millions to his local hospital and public library. His neighbors and friends were stunned because they had never guessed he was wealthy. There was no lottery win, no inheritance, no big salary, just discipline, consistency, and decades of compounding in the best market in the world. Now, let's look at Richard Fosconi, a Harvard-educated executive. He earned millions of dollars, retired early, and lived in a mansion filled with luxury. On the surface, his life was a picture of success. But Richard financed his lifestyle with debt. He expanded his properties, borrowed heavily, and carried expenses that reached tens of thousands of dollars every single month. When the 2008 financial crisis struck, interest rates rose and his empire collapsed. The mansions were lost, his liquidity disappeared, and his fortune was gone. Two men. One with a modest income who ended life as a millionaire philanthropist, another with every advantage who ended up bankrupt. The difference was not intelligence, it was behavior. Ronald's patience and discipline turned modest pay into lasting wealth. Richard's debt and overconfidence turned millions into nothing. And that is the lesson of the construction stage. Wealth is built not on brilliance, but on consistent choices that compound over decades. If the rules are simple, why do so many people fail to build wealth? The answer is behavior. We are blind to our own mistakes. It is like going to the gym. You think your form is perfect, but a trainer watches and immediately sees what you cannot. With just a few corrections, your results improve dramatically. Money works the same way. Most people believe they are in control of their finances, but month after month, the same patterns repeat. Overspending, relying on credit cards, chasing quick wins, and never building a solid plan. We see other people's financial mistakes with clarity, but when it comes to our own, we stay blind. That is why structure matters more than motivation. Planning is the trainer for your money. It creates systems that protect you from yourself. Automating your savings, setting clear goals, tracking where your dollars go, and most importantly, removing emotion from the process. Without structure, discipline fades. Without discipline, wealth never grows. Nearly 2,000 years ago, Seneca wrote that we see other people's faults clearly, but our own are hidden behind our back. That wisdom is timeless. It explains why many smart, capable people fail financially. The problem is not lack of income, it is lack of awareness. And until you fix those blind spots, you cannot move past the construction stage. The construction stage is the hardest part of the journey. It feels slow, frustrating, and sometimes pointless. You put money aside every month, but the growth looks invisible. At this stage, your contributions are far more powerful than your returns. If you invest $500 a month, after 1 year, you saved $6,000. Even if the market grows 8%, the gain is only a few $100s. The effort seems bigger than the reward. This is why most people quit early. They expect fireworks, but wealth grows quietly. They expect shortcuts, but there are none. Instead, progress looks boring and repetitive. Think of it like pushing a heavy snowball uphill. Every step takes effort. The snowball barely grows. It feels like you are going nowhere, but something is happening beneath the surface. You are building habits. You are proving to yourself that saving is possible. You are creating the foundation that future growth will rest on. These years are not wasted. They are the price of admission to the next stage. Everyone who reaches financial freedom has paid this price. Most people, however, run out of patience. They convince themselves it is not working. They tell themselves it is too slow. So they stop saving, and the snowball melts before it ever has the chance to roll downhill. The pain of construction is real, but it is also temporary. Once the foundation is in place, the game changes forever. After years of discipline, something finally changes. The snowball that once felt heavy and slow begins to roll on its own. This is the acceleration stage. At first, your progress came almost entirely from your own effort. You saved, you sacrificed, you invested. The market added a little growth, but your deposits did most of the work. Now, the balance shifts. Compounding starts to matter more than your monthly contributions. What once felt invisible suddenly becomes visible. Take a simple example. If you reach $100,000 invested, the math changes. An average return of 8% in a year adds about $8,000 of growth. That is more than most people are able to save in 12 months. The market is now working harder than you are. This is the tipping point. It often takes nearly 1/3 of the journey to 1 million just to reach the first 100,000. But after that, the pace accelerates. The curve bends upward, and time becomes your greatest ally. For the first time, you feel momentum. The snowball rolls faster, growing larger with every turn. And this is where people begin to understand the true power of compounding. But this stage is also dangerous. The temptation to enjoy the early fruits of growth is strong. A new car, a bigger home, an expensive vacation. If you give in, you cut the snowball before it can reach its full size. You trade decades of acceleration for a moment of comfort. The beginning of acceleration is proof that patience pays, but it is also a test. The ones who resist temptation here are the ones who eventually reach freedom. The acceleration stage feels exciting, but it also creates a dangerous illusion. For the first time, you see real money building up in your account. And for many people, that is the moment when discipline begins to fade. They tell themselves they deserve a reward. They finally want to enjoy the money they have been sacrificing to save. So, they use their investments to buy a new car, upgrade their house, or take an expensive trip. On the surface, it feels like a harmless decision. After all, they worked hard. They saved for years. Why not enjoy a little of it now? But this is the trap. Pulling money out during acceleration kills the momentum of compounding. Those dollars are not just money in the present. They are seeds for decades of growth in the future. Imagine withdrawing $10,000 from your portfolio. In the short term, it pays for a vacation or a down payment. But left untouched, that same $10,000 could grow into $40,000 or more over the next 20 years at average market returns. The cost of spending early is not the $10,000 you see, but the decades of growth you never gave it the chance to achieve. This is why so many people with good intentions never escape the middle stage. They start strong. They save consistently. They reach the first 100,000, and then they sabotage themselves by touching the money before it has matured. The temptation trap feels like freedom in the moment, but in reality, it is a chain that pulls you back into dependence. The only way to escape is to resist, to let the money keep working, even when every impulse tells you to spend it. If there is one skill that separates those who reach freedom from those who stop halfway, it is patience. Because once you enter the acceleration stage, the game is no longer about effort. It is about endurance. Compounding does not reward speed. It rewards consistency over time. Every additional year that money stays invested multiplies the effect. The longer it stays untouched, the more unstoppable the growth becomes. History proves this clearly. Over the last century, the S&P 500 has delivered average annual returns of around 7 to 10%. That does not look spectacular in the short term, but stretched over decades, it transforms small beginnings into life-changing outcomes. Consider this. Investing $500 a month for 10 years grows into about $80,000 at a reasonable return. Keep going for 20 years, and it jumps to more than $250,000. Push it to 30 years, and it exceeds $600,000. The difference is not bigger effort, but bigger time. This is why patience is so powerful. Impatience makes you focus on the next year. Patience makes you focus on the next decade. And that shift changes everything. The investors who succeed are not always the smartest or the boldest. They are often the ones who simply stayed the course the longest. They ignored the noise. They kept investing through good years and bad years, and they allowed time to turn discipline into freedom. The power of patience is invisible in the short term, but in the long term, it is the most valuable asset you will ever own. The final stage of wealth building is financial freedom. This is the point where money is no longer just numbers on a screen. It becomes independence. It becomes choice. Freedom is not about buying luxury cars or mansions. It is about the ability to say one powerful word: number. No to a job you hate. No to an abusive client. No to the stress of living paycheck to paycheck. When your portfolio can support your lifestyle, work becomes optional. You can keep working if you love what you do, but you no longer have to work for survival. That is the difference between dependence and freedom. In the United States, one of the most used guidelines for this stage is the 4% rule. It states that if you can live on 4% of your investments each year, you are financially free. Let's make it practical. If your cost of living is $40,000 per year, then a portfolio of $1 million can cover it indefinitely. If your cost of living is $120,000, then you need around $3 million. The math is simple, but the discipline required to get there is not. And here lies an important truth. The higher your lifestyle costs, the more you delay your freedom. Every upgrade you make increases the size of the mountain you need to climb. As Seneca once said, the poorest man is not the one who has little, but the one who needs too much. That wisdom is as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago. Financial freedom is not measured by possessions. It is measured by control. The control to decide how you spend your time, who you work with, and what you give your energy to. That is the true reward of wealth. Not more things, but more life. We have walked through the 3 phases of wealth building. The construction stage, where discipline and sacrifice create the foundation. The acceleration stage, where compounding begins to outweigh your effort. And the stage of freedom, where money gives you the power of choice. These phases are not theory. They are the lived reality of millions of people who either reached freedom or stayed trapped. The difference was never income alone. It was behavior, patience, and the ability to stay consistent through the years. And that is the mindset shift I want you to take from this video. Every dollar you save today is a silent worker that never sleeps. It never asks for a raise. It never takes a sick day. It quietly multiplies in the background, working for your future. But dollars alone are not enough. What really matters is time. Because every year you remain consistent, the army of silent workers grows stronger. 1 year compounds into the next, and then into decades. That is what transforms savings into wealth and wealth into freedom. So here is the question you must answer for yourself. Which phase are you in right now? Are you still fighting to build the foundation? Are you starting to feel the acceleration? Or are you close to real freedom? Share your answer in the comments. Because naming the stage you are in is the first step toward moving forward. And if this video helped shift your perspective, like the video and subscribe to the channel. That way, you will not miss the stories that reveal how money really works. Remember this, every dollar is a worker. Every year is momentum. And the more years you stay in the game, the closer you come to freedom. And if you want to go deeper, don't stop here. Click on one of the videos on your screen right now. Each one will take you further into the strategies, history, and mindset shifts that can change the way you build wealth forever.